The Aziz family, which included Mr. Amir Aziz, Mrs. Layla Aziz, and their three children, Aisha, 17, Tariq, 12, and Zain, 9, were ready for a change of scenery. The Azizes chose to spend their summer break at an enormous farmhouse in a secluded area of the countryside, which was left behind by a distant relative named Uncle Farid, who had lately gone away. It was an opportunity for a family vacation and a chance to get back into touch with their roots. The deep woods and verdant fields made for a stunning view as they wound through the countryside. But the scenery darkened as they got closer to the farmhouse. The massive, decaying building was covered in deep shadows as the sun sank below the horizon. The formerly magnificent, the once grand farmhouse had a faded, almost ghostly aspect due to the fallen roof and ivy growing up its walls. It now looked desolate and abandoned. Aisha said, staring through the car window, "Look at that place. It may be large, but it appears a little unsettling." Reassuring herself, Layla remarked, "It's just old. It will be all right, I promise. It comes from our family's history." The farmhouse appeared to be awaiting them as they approached, with its squeaky front door and dimly lit windows. After unloading their belongings, the family started to settle in. The interior had the same aged appearance as the outside, with worn wallpaper, dusty furniture, and a spooky silence that seemed to remain. We spent the evening taking a tour of the farmhouse and familiarizing ourselves with its design. There was a large kitchen, a dining room with an antique wooden table, and a large living room on the ground level. The bedrooms were on the second level, each with thick draperies and antique furniture. Following supper, the family congregated in the living room to talk about their plans for the following day. Aisha was more drawn to the house's enigmatic air than Tariq and Zain, who were eager to explore the surrounding grounds. Tariq pointed out the window to a far-off, dilapidated building and remarked, "I'm going to check out that old barn tomorrow. It appears to have been abandoned for a long time." "It's becoming late," Amir remarked. Why don't any of us sleep tomorrow? We have a lot of ground to cover." A tense silence descended upon the farmhouse as the family went to bed. The ancient house groaned and creaked as the wind howled outside. Aisha lay awake in bed, restless and curious thoughts rushing through her head. She was plagued by a persistent feeling that something was off. Aisha was awakened in the middle of the night by odd sounds emanating from the corridor. Soft murmurs appeared to permeate the walls, bringing with them a disconcerting sense of urgency. Seated on bed, she strained to listen. She was unable to make out the words, but the whispers became clearer and louder. Pulling herself together, Aisha slipped out of bed and into the hallway. She heard whispering coming from downstairs, so she tiptoed down the stairs, her footsteps making a faint echo throughout the deserted house. Aisha noticed a door at the bottom of the stairs that she had never seen before. The whispers seemed to be coming from behind it, and it was slightly ajar. She pulled the door open with a nervous hand and entered a dimly lit room with dusty, antique furniture covered in white blankets. Aisha felt a chill go down her spine due to the freezing temperature of the room. The sounds of whispering became more intense, creating meaningful words that seemed to beg and scream. The exact words were beyond Aisha's reach, but the desperation in the tone was clear. Abruptly, the door behind her slammed shut, bringing the entire area into complete darkness. When Aisha reached for her phone to use as a torch, the screen died after flickering. She began to panic and banged on the door while yelling for assistance. However, all that was heard in response were the growing whispers and the strange feeling that someone was seeing them. When successfully unlocking the door, Aisha discovered that the hauntingly silent home had returned. The room was empty, and the whispers had stopped. Her pulse pounding, she hurried back to her room. Lying in bed, she attempted to persuade herself that all she had experienced was only a dream. Aisha attempted to dismiss the happenings of the previous night when she woke up. She went to breakfast with her family, but she noted that everyone else seemed to be rather quiet. Tariq and Zain were unusually quiet, and Layla and Amir exchanged worrisome looks. The family made the decision to explore the grounds after breakfast. Tariq had been wanting to explore the ancient barn and the unkempt fields outside, so they went exploring. Up close, the barn's crumbling wood and damaged windows were even more noticeable. They found antique farming apparatus and equipment inside the barn that had been left for years. The air smelled of moist earth and decay, and the mood was heavy and depressing. While Aisha wandered off to investigate an ancient well at the border of the property, Tariq and Zain started investigating the barn. She felt a strange chill as she got close to the well. The well had a thick wooden cover on it, and she was drawn in by the darkness within. Aisha looked over the edge, seeing nothing but the pitch-black blackness below. Suddenly, she heard her name called in a faint voice. The voice was nearly lost in the wind, mournful and gentle. Aisha glanced around, but nobody was visible. She raced back to the barn, her nerves getting worse. The family talked about their day's findings when they gathered in the living room that evening. Tariq and Zain discussed the antique equipment they had discovered, while Aisha related her experience at the well. Aisha remarked, "I feel like there's something hidden here. I heard whispers last night and felt something weird near the well." Layla made the suggestion, though she didn't seem really convinced, that maybe it's just the old house settling. When dusk arrived, the family got ready for bed. Aisha's mind was spinning with images of the well and the enigmatic murmurs, and she was restless. She made the decision to conduct some study and went to the attic, where she had noticed several historical documents and books. The air in the upstairs was heavy with dust, and the one small light that lit it up was dim. Aisha discovered an antique trunk brimming with faded pictures, notes, and other mementos. One of the journals among them had a beautiful design on the cover and was bound in leather. The pages of the journal were yellowed with age, giving it an air of fragility. Aisha brought out the journal and started reading. The writings, which detailed the history of the farmhouse and the Ravenswood family, who had previously resided there, were written in a graceful, flowing handwriting. The journal described unexplained unusual happenings and the family's curse being imposed by an unidentified evil force. The information was hazy and lacking, but it stated that a ritual was required to break the curse. Aisha's sensation of dread grew as she read. The more she read, the more she sensed that she was being watched. The journal talked of evil powers and restless spirits. She made the decision to bring the journal downstairs so her family could see what she had discovered. The details shocked Aisha's family when she revealed them the journal. Though worried for their kids, Amir and Layla made an effort to remain composed. "Do you believe that this is true?" Layla questioned, her voice quivering a little. Amir answered, "It's difficult to say, but exercise caution, please." In an attempt to carry out the ritual described in the journal, the family made the decision to look into the matter more. Old books and documents they discovered while searching the house for more information appeared to corroborate the journal's assertions. After piecing together the details, they learned that the ritual called for particular supplies, including salt, candles, and plants. Gathering the necessary equipment, the family got ready to execute the ritual that evening in the hopes of finding some calm. The mood in the living room grew stifling as they prepared the rite. The whispers returned, louder and more desperate than before as the temperature fell. As stated in the journal, Aisha set up the salt in a protective circle and lit the candles. Holding hands, the family rose and repeated the incantations from the notebook. The room's shadows appeared to wriggle and twist as the murmurs became more audible. The room was suddenly black when the lights flickered and went out. The temperature plummeted even lower as the muttering became desperate cries. The family gathered close, their terror evident. The family heard footsteps and the rustling of shadowy beings in the darkness. The murmurs had become harsh, evil voices that sounded as though they were coming from everywhere. With a flip of her torch, Aisha was able to make out a dark silhouette standing in the doorway. With eyes that seemed to sparkle with an otherworldly brightness, the figure was towering and dark. With a steady, purposeful walk, it approached them, the air growing colder with each step. Remain back. With a voice full of terror and resolve, Amir yelled. Our goal is to assist you. The enigmatic person hesitated, staring at the family. The murmurs intensified, producing phrases that sounded accusatory and condemning.